This yarn is made out of paper and I am going to knit a top with it. I cast on 88 stitches and now I'm going to join in the round. So the kind of top that I'm going to be knitting is a top-down raglan. So I'm going to be adding some stitch markers in order to divide my raglan, and I lost all of my stitch markers. So I am going to be using these clear elastics instead. These do work pretty well. They do what I need them to do, but I definitely still prefer to use my actual stitch markers. I just don't know where any of them went. I had a lot of them and then I went to Japan recently and lost them all. I don't know where I put them. So yeah, I'm gonna be using these clear elastics instead, and I'm gonna be placing them in my first round. I just finished adding all of my stitch markers and I will show you. So I just placed a bunch of these clear elastics, you know, in the places that I needed to put them in order to divide my raglan. And now I'm going to continue on to the rest of my raglan. And what I'm thinking of doing for this top is I'm thinking of doing stripes with these two colors right here. And I think I'm going to do 2 rows of this color and 1 row of this color, and then just go back and forth between that. So yeah, I think that'll look nice. I don't want to do like an even amount of each color for the stripes. I want to switch it up a little bit and do something a little different, and I feel like doing it with 2 rows of this color, 1 row of this color will be a little different. So we'll see. I haven't done any swatches or anything before making this top. Casting on the stitches for this top was actually my first time even using this yarn, and so far I like it. I actually really enjoy working with it. It's very fun. It's different from what I'm used to working with, but I will say it feels like it might be a little scratchy, which will be interesting since it is a wearable project, but we'll see. So I have knit, I think, 4 rows now. I really love working with this yarn. It is so fun and these colors are so pretty. They remind me of the ocean, especially when paired together. And what I ended up doing is I ended up doing 3 rows of the light blue rather than 2, and I'm gonna be doing 2 rows of the dark blue rather than 1, because I felt like doing a singular row of the dark blue as a stripe would be not enough. So I switched it up a little bit. It's gonna be a similar vibe, but now each color of the stripes will be slightly thicker. Ooh! Okay, oops. Oh, I thought I had 2 rows of the dark blue, but I don't. I just love this so much. It's so pretty. I definitely messed up by not doing a swatch because I am not liking how these stripes are turning out. So this is what they look like right now, and I think they're a little too thick for my liking. And I would have known that if I did a swatch beforehand to see if I even liked these thicker stripes, but yeah, I definitely don't. They are a little thicker than what I was originally planning on doing. Like at the beginning of this video, I mentioned I wanted to do, I think like the light blue stripes, I was gonna do 2 rows and then 1 row for the dark blue stripes. And then I changed that to 3 rows for the light blue, 2 rows for the dark blue. But then I actually ended up doing 4 rows of the light blue and 3 rows of the dark blue because I messed up and I just went with it, and I probably shouldn't have went with it. But yeah, that's what I have right now. I have 4 rows for the light blue and 3 rows for the dark blue, and I don't like it. I think I'm gonna take this apart and work up a swatch and try out some different thicknesses for the stripes to see what I like best, and then I'll work up the top. So I am going to make a swatch. So basically all of this could have been avoided if I just worked up a swatch in the beginning before working up the top. But I did not do that, and that is okay. Yep. because I started this top yesterday, so this is only a day's worth of knitting that I will be taking apart because yeah, I'm gonna have to take apart this whole thing. So I knit up a tiny little swatch. I didn't do too many rows, just 'cause I feel like this is enough. And I did 2 rows for each color for the stripes. And I think I like it. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna like it any more than this. I think that maybe I just don't like stripes that much, but I wanna give it a chance because I feel like it could look nice. I think maybe I'm just having a hard time visualizing what it'll look like when it's done, but I think I like this. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go for it. I think it's been 2 days since I filmed last, and I have made a decent amount of progress since then. I am currently working on row 20. I feel like this is a decent amount of progress for 2 days, but I definitely would have been further along if I didn't take it apart 2 times, which I did because I was having a really hard time with the color changes for the stripes. This is my first time knitting stripes, and I thought it would be a lot easier than it ended up being. And the only reason it was giving me a hard time is because I didn't want to have to cut my yarn every single time I did a color change. So in order to avoid having to cut my yarn, I carried my yarn every single time I changed colors, and I was having a hard time doing that. The first time that I tried doing it, I didn't look up any videos on how to do it. I just guessed and it looked really bad. So I took it apart. And then the second time around, I did look up videos on how to do it. So I had a better understanding of how to carry my yarn when changing colors. But it still looked pretty bad because it was my first attempt at doing that. And I was considering just leaving it and allowing myself to just get better as I went along and just having the first few color changes that I made be a little messy looking, but I was not having it. I did not want it to look messy. I wanted it to look good. So I took it apart for a second time, and this is my 3rd attempt at doing these stripes, and I think it's going pretty well. So far, so good. I will show you where I changed my colors. So this is where I changed colors right here. I feel like it looks pretty seamless. It's not perfect, which is really bothering me. I want it to look perfect, and I know that it just won't no matter what I do, but it's okay. I have to just accept that it won't look absolutely perfect, and that's fine. The top will still look good in the end, and it's not even anything super noticeable, especially when I like hold it up on camera here. I feel like it's even less noticeable than I thought it would be. You can still see like the jog, I think it would be called, where I, you know, switched colors, but that's not even bothering me. The thing that is bothering me though is the messiness of my stitches where I changed colors. And I don't know how noticeable it is on camera, but the stitches around where I changed colors are a little uneven and messy looking, and it is bothering me, but it's fine. I think this is as good as it's gonna get. So I'll show you the other side. So this is the wrong side of my work, and you can see where I carried my yarn in the back. It's definitely a lot more seamless than if I were to cut my yarn and tie knots and weave in my ends after the fact. I feel like that would look a lot bulkier. So yeah, I am liking this method of carrying my yarn when changing colors. So anyway, just wanted to come on here and update you guys on where I'm at with this project. It has been pretty stressful up until now. Yeah, it put me through it, but it's fine. I feel like I'm in a good place now with this project. I have just been knitting without any issues for the past like 10 rows now, and I'm really getting the hang of the color change method that I'm doing right now. Anyway, I don't have much planned for today, so I'm probably gonna spend most of the day working on this project right here. And right now I'm actually about to go to a coffee shop with my sister where she's gonna read and I'm gonna knit. It is the next day and I have made a lot of progress. I am at the point in my raglan where I need to section off the sleeves and then start working on the body of the top. Yeah, I did a lot of knitting yesterday. It's looking so good. I am really happy with this top at the moment. Everything is starting to work out. So to section off my sleeves, I am going to start by casting off my sleeve stitches. Oh my gosh. This yarn is so hard to cast off with because it is so slippery on my needles because it is a paper yarn. So yeah, it just slips and slides on my needles a lot, which definitely makes it a little tricky to cast off my stitches. So I cast off the stitches for one of my sleeves and it's looking kind of big. Actually, when I look at it in like the viewfinder of my camera here, it actually looks pretty normal. But when I was looking at it like this, it was looking really big and I was getting a little worried. But I shouldn't really be worrying about whether or not it'll work out because I'm not fully freehanding this top. I'm not following like a full-on pattern, but I have made tops like this before and I'm just doing the exact same thing that I have already done and know will work out. I will say though, I am doing something different this time around, just a little different, which is I reduced the amount of stitches in my round to make this top a little smaller because I'm convinced that, you know, with this yarn, I think this top would look better if it was a little tighter than the last top that I made like this. So yeah, I just reduced the amount of stitches in my round just a little bit, I just took away one of the increased rounds for like the yoke part of my raglan. So yeah, the top should be a little tighter. Hopefully it's not like a major difference and it doesn't fit, but I don't think that's the case. I think it'll work out. I just finished casting off the stitches of my second sleeve, and in the next round I am going to be casting on 2 extra stitches at the base of each sleeve, and then once I've done that, my sleeves will have been fully sectioned off, and then going forward I will only be working on the body of the top. I'm currently working on the 3rd round of the body, which means the sleeves have been completely sectioned off. This is what it's looking like. I love seeing what it looks like once the sleeves have been sectioned off because it actually starts to look like a top and it looks so good. I love how the stripes are looking. They're looking so pretty. But I'm gonna take a little bit of a break now because I have to go on a run with my sister in like 10-15 minutes and I have to go get ready for that. Ooh, it's so windy. And today I have to run 5 kilometers because technically I am following a training program for a half marathon because I am considering maybe doing a half marathon. I don't know if I'm gonna do it yet because 5 kilometers, I've only done it once so far and it was so difficult. So I'm still gonna follow the training program. Don't know if I'm gonna do a half marathon yet because that's kind of crazy. Actually, before I go on this run, I am going to take apart 3 rows of this top. I was thinking about it for like 2 minutes and started overthinking the fact that I reduced the amount of stitches for this top compared to the last one that I made. And yeah, I just started getting a little worried that it would be too tight. I do want it to be a little more snug compared to the last top that I made, but when I think about it, the last top that I made was also pretty tight. So I don't want this to be like super tight. Anyway, I think that when I reduced the amount of stitches for this top, I might have reduced it by too many stitches. And I'm starting to get a little worried about that. So I'm gonna take apart 3 rows of this top and bring it back to where I was when I did a few decreases to start like the shaping of this top, and I'm going to take out some of the decrease stitches. Yeah, and I want to do this now before I go on the run because I feel like if I don't do it now, I won't be able to stop thinking about it. And I just want to get it over with. So take all my stitches off of my needle and take out a few rows. Oop, oh. I wasn't careful enough when taking out my stitches, and I accidentally took out some of the stitches from previous rows that I did not want to take out. Oopsies. So these are the stitches that are at the bottom of my sleeves. So yeah, I cast on 2 extra stitches at the bottom of my sleeve, and I did not want to take those out. And I did. So this is what it's supposed to look like. So these stitches are still intact, but these are not. So now I'm gonna have to take out even more rows. It is the next day, and this is where I'm at with the top now. It's really coming along. I'm definitely getting pretty close to finishing the body of it because I do want it to be pretty cropped. So yeah, I feel like I'll be able to finish this top pretty quickly. Also, before I forget, I wanted to mention what yarn I'm using because at the start of the video I mentioned that this yarn is made out of paper, and I wanted to elaborate on that. So this is a yarn that I got in Japan, and the contents of it are linen and washi paper, which is a Japanese art paper. Yeah, the label of the yarn is in Japanese. So yeah, actually, I'm gonna grab my phone, take a picture of it so I can translate it and tell you the exact contents of it, because I could actually be getting it wrong. It is 69% linen and 30% Japanese paper. That's what the translator app says. But when I looked it up on their actual website, it did say washi paper, which is the kind of art paper, I guess, and 1% nylon. So yeah, super cool. The brand of yarn is actually Noro, but when I looked at the Noro website, I couldn't find this yarn on their website because I guess it's like a branch of Noro. It's Isaku Noro. Anyways, this has been a super interesting yarn to work with. It is definitely different from anything I've ever worked with before, mostly because of like the texture. The texture is really cool. I'm excited to see what it feels like when worn as a top. I think it's gonna be comfortable enough. Anyway, it is currently 10:20 and I'm probably gonna spend like the next 30 minutes knitting outside in my backyard, and then after that I am gonna get ready to go to the beach because I am going to spend the day at the beach with my sister. So pretty. So for this top, I want to do a lot of decreases right below my bust so that it cinches in a little bit and it fits me just right. And I think I'm at the point in this top where it probably reaches, you know, just below my bust, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to take it off my needles, put it on a lifeline so that I can try on to see where I'm at. This is what it looks like with all my stitches on a lifeline. So it's a little easier to see like the actual shape of the top, and it is looking so pretty. And now I'm gonna try it on. Okay, we're definitely getting close. It doesn't quite reach below my bust yet, but it's actually getting really, really close. So I'm probably gonna do like 5 more rows, and then I will do my decreases for the shaping. But it's definitely getting really close, so I'll probably do like 5 more rows, and then I'll do the decreases to cinch it in below my bust. And this is actually my first time trying on this top, and it's a lot less scratchy than I thought it would be. I was a little worried that this top would be too scratchy to wear comfortably, but it's actually quite comfortable. It does kind of feel like, I don't know if it's too tight around my bust area. It's hard to say because I am wearing a very tight tank top underneath, so maybe that's what is making me feel like what I'm wearing is tight at the moment. Anyway, now that I know that everything's looking good and all I have left to do are 5 rows before I start doing the decrease stitches, I am going to take this off, put it back onto my needles, and just continue knitting until I'm ready to do the decrease stitches. I just cast off the body of the top, and now I'm going to try it on to make sure that it's looking okay. So this is what it looks like, and I like it. I think it turned out pretty well. It fits well. The only thing is the bottom right here is rolling, but I feel like that will probably go away after I block it. The edge of the sleeves are rolling as well, so yeah, hopefully both the sleeves and the bottom of the top will stop rolling after I finish blocking it, but we'll see. If not, then I'll probably just kind of crochet some sort of border along the parts that are rolling to have it flatten out a little bit, but we will deal with that once we get there. But now that I have finished the body of the top, I'm gonna pick up stitches along the neckline and knit a little bit of a collar. I finished the top. Oopsies, okay, maybe I'll go on this side. I finished the top and this is what it looks like. And now all I have left to do is blocking it. And I'm a little worried about what blocking will do to this top. Mostly because this yarn is made out of paper. And in my head, it just feels wrong to get it wet because if you get paper wet, it will fall apart. But obviously, like, I'm sure that they made this yarn so that it can get wet, but it still feels wrong to get a paper yarn wet. Anyways, we're gonna go block it and hope that everything works out. Oh yeah, this is totally gonna be fine. Okay, so I just took it out of the water and it is perfectly fine. It did not fall apart in the water like I was worried it would. And if anything, it feels so much better now. I know it's still soaking wet, but I can already tell that it's gonna feel softer than it did before, because before it felt pretty stiff, to be honest, and now it feels not like that. And I know it's still wet, but I have high hopes that, yeah, it'll be even better once it's fully done blocking. Okay, so now I have to lay it flat, and this is really gonna make a difference because this top is rolling so much. Honestly, I'm fully convinced I'm gonna have to crochet some sort of border along the parts of this top that are rolling because it's rolling so much. I don't think blocking it alone will fix it. I think it will help, but I don't think it'll completely get rid of the rolling, because even though it's soaking wet right now, it still wants to roll. Like, I'm flattening out the sleeves and they just automatically start rolling back even though it is soaking wet, which usually doesn't happen. I think it's just the type of fiber of this top is causing it to be like, I don't know, more tension or something. Okay. I'm gonna put some books on top of the parts that are rolling so that they stay flat. Okay, and now we wait. This is what the top looks like after blocking, and to be honest, I am not really liking it, and that is because I feel like the fit of it is just off. And I know I mentioned throughout this video a little bit that I was a little unsure about how this top would fit in the end because I felt like maybe I might have made it a little bit too tight, and I was hoping that by blocking it, it would maybe stretch out a little bit, even though this is a plant fiber yarn, and I feel like plant fibers tend to stretch less compared to animal fibers. But regardless, I was still hoping that maybe the blocking process would stretch it out a little bit, but that did not happen. I did try to stretch it out quite a bit, and it did not do what I wanted it to do. It is still pretty tight around my bust area, and it's just, I'm not really liking it. And also the sleeves are throwing me off a little bit. Just the finishing of them just feels a little, I don't know. I think it's because the sleeves feel and look very loose, and then the rest of the top is very tight, so it just doesn't feel like it makes sense. So now my options are I can either leave it how it is and probably not get a whole lot of wear out of it because I don't love it, or I can take it apart and remake it in a way that I actually like. And I did give it some thought, and I have decided to take it apart and remake it. But obviously that will take a while to do, so I won't be including the remake of this top in this video because I'm pretty sure that this video is already like 35 minutes long based on the amount of footage that I have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end this video here, and then I'm gonna make a separate video of me remaking this top. So if you want to see me remake this top, then stay tuned for part 2 of this video. In the meantime, I would love to hear your suggestions on what you would do to improve this top, because I haven't fully decided what I want to do yet. I know for sure that I want to make it more loose fitting, because the first time around I tried to make this a tighter fitting top, and I just think it doesn't work with the type of yarn that I'm using. It just, yeah, I think it looks better when it's looser fitting, especially since I made the sleeves a lot bigger, so the sleeves are looser, so I want the rest of the top to be looser fitting as well. So I know for sure I'm going to do that, but aside from that, I don't know what else I should change about it. I'm thinking I might also do something to the sleeves, maybe make them a little bit longer, maybe do some ribbing along the edges, and maybe some ribbing along the bottom of the top as well, like along here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but I'm not fully decided on what I'm gonna do to improve this top yet, so I would love to hear your thoughts and what you would suggest, because I need some ideas. But I think that's all that I have for this video, so I am gonna end it here before it goes any longer. But hopefully I will see you in the next video, in part 2, where I remake this top. So yeah, I'm gonna go now, but hopefully I will see you soon. Bye!